Good morning. Welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. We are headed into the middle part of May, and very happily I am still keeping up with my sourdough. And I have another kind of hodgepodge video for you today. One of those times where it's basically I'm showing you everything except for the kitchen sink, and I may even show you that. I think one of the reasons that sourdough can be a little hard for me to keep up with is I used to think, because this is what I was told, that I needed to weigh everything precisely for it to work out right. And over this last winter season, I experimented with not doing that. I don't even weigh my ingredients or like the flour and water to feed the sourdough starter. And not having to pull out the scale and be exact has been very freeing, because it takes less brain power to go through all of those steps in order just to feed it based on how it looks. And that kind of a thing is a skill. It's something that you can perfect with time and experience, but I'm getting there. And actually my scale broke last night, so I couldn't even use my scale in order to weigh out the ingredients to make the bread. And my book that I have, I'll show it to you. This is the book that I use that my sandwich bread recipe is in. I do tweak it a little bit, and I'll link the video that I have on this bread at the end of this video. But anyways, that recipe does have like cup measurements in it, but it's not accurate. It gets way too dry if I use the cup measurements. So going by consistency has been vital when my scale is broken, but that's also very freeing. It's nice to have that option. Alright, so this morning for breakfast, I'm actually making a Dutch baby pancake. And this is a very good way to use up a lot of eggs and a lot of milk and to make something very delicious, very simply and very quickly in the morning. I am just going to reuse the bowl that I had the sourdough proofing in. This is going to be just fine. Fewer dishes is always a good thing. Plus, I need to preheat the oven anyways to cook the bread, so being able to heat the oven once and use a bowl twice, it's time saving. So I'm making a double batch of the Dutch baby, and that's what we need in order to feed our family. So if you don't need this much, you can absolutely scale this down. I'm gonna start out with a dozen eggs. I really like for 2 of these to be duck eggs. If I have more than 2 duck eggs though, it does tend to volcano out of the pan a little bit extra. And if you're not familiar with Dutch baby pancakes, I'll show you what that is later on. 2 cups of milk, 2 cups of flour, a heavy pinch of nutmeg, and half a cup of sugar. And I'm gonna blend everything together as smoothly as I can with the immersion blender, making sure to scrape down the sides. And the whole time I was mixing this together, I was having the oven preheating. I'm preheating it to 400 degrees. It's close to temp right now, and so I'm gonna take my pan. This is, I think, I don't know, a standard cookie sheet. I don't know the dimensions on this, but this big. I'm gonna put a giant dollop of butter in the center like that. In the last little bit of the preheating time, I am gonna shove our pan in here with the butter on it to brown this up and to preheat the pan. All right, so the oven is at 400 and our butter has browned. I'm just gonna scoot it around the pan a little bit here. Now we just wait, and it doesn't take very long, 15 minutes, and this is gonna be done. See what I mean by like volcanoes over? This isn't as bad if I don't use duck eggs, but it's way worse if I use more than 2. See, it lifts out of the pan just great because of all that butter, and a lot of the butter settles on the top, which adds to a really nice flavor. Trying to see if I can show you the texture here. It's like a set custard. Really, really creamy and good. Now you can top these any way you like. I have actually cooked these with berries inside of it. I've done the same thing with sliced apples. So after I poured the batter in the hot pan, I would add in the fruit and then bake it. That works very well. But a really easy and I guess somewhat traditional way to eat a Dutch baby is to put some powdered sugar on top. I have this little nylon sieve here that I used for my kefir. Just gonna dust generously. There we go. now breakfast is served. I have not shut off the oven yet because I will have to put my bread in just a little bit. I'm going to let it rise a little bit longer. I'm going to move this down to 375.
Fire! Fire! This has Molly's head. It's fun. Fire! We don't have Molly's. Fire! Fire! Fire!
Sweet girl, good morning. You guys enjoying some grass? Are you avoiding the buttercup? Hi, little boy. Hi. Can we touch the baby? Hmm? Good morning. How are ya? Hey, Margie. Hi, ma'am. Come here. How are you? Look at all the water in here. Why are you shivering? You're doing all right. Oh, good. We just had a decent amount of stormy weather come through here in the last couple of days, and we are having a good dip in temp. I think the high today is 70, so it's been pretty humid and it's been in the upper 80s. That cold north breeze is making Margie shiver. I worried about her a little bit, mostly because I am drying her off at this point. She's been in milk for over a year, but when I put my girls in with their boyfriends, I like to stop milking them. It's just kind of a pain to walk them back and forth, and plus it allows them to put their full energy into growing kids like right off the bat. From the kitchen window though, she was looking a little bit hunched and I can see her shivering, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't due to something like mastitis from drying her off. Oops, I forgot to put your salt in your house, didn't I? Well, that got good and rained on. I'm gonna keep watching her, but I think she's okay. I think she's just not enjoying like the cold. It's not actually cold, but it's colder than it has been. It's cold enough that the end walls and things are all shut up in the greenhouse and we don't have any vents open at all. These vents are heat activated. They'll only come on, or they're only open after a certain temperature. Can you guys see this line here on the bottom of this green stalk? That's how high the water got in here when we had a decent amount of downpours during that weather. Thankfully it's drained pretty well. It's still kind of soupy and sloppy down here. The pepper row is slightly elevated, so they didn't do too bad, but they do have wet feet for sure. We got 5.5 inches of rain, and our whole property is on kind of a downslope. And so I don't think I got any videos of it, but I might have gotten a picture of like the river of water that comes down through the greenhouse. And it's definitely one of the major reasons for putting in these raised beds here. But our little transplants that we put in here during the last garden tour, they're handling it well. No further signs of blight for now. Blight is kind of one of those things when you live in a humid area that you expect at some point during the year. I just didn't want to deal with blight on tomatoes at the beginning of May. It's too early in the season. We need to get some kind of crop. Everything is looking good in here. I'm really enjoying having this moisture meter. I'm able to go around and kind of figure out what's what with these beds. It's pretty wet as I go further down in there. I imagine with the water that ran down in here, the beds did wick up some of that moisture, which is okay ultimately. These beds provide miles more drainage than the clay that they're on top of, so that's good. Hey, ma'am. How are you? It's not milking time quite yet, okay? I don't have any TREATs. And you are done with bottles. Please do not exit this fence. No. You're not going to listen to me, are you? Oh, good girl. I'm going to walk away before she squeezes out of there. Learns that she can and comes out all the time. Good morning, handsome. Good morning. I ordered you a new box, okay? I talked in a video recently about how I basically never make lunch. Like I don't sit down and cook a lunch every day because, I don't know, busy life, and a lot of the stuff, especially in the summertime, that we want to eat for lunch, I don't necessarily want something hot. The kids will be able to pick food out of their garden, and we do buy like cold cuts and things from the store, but I guess I kind of do make lunch a little bit, and I don't really think about it. I make this bread a couple times a week. My coffee just reminded me too, I do still have 4 of these branded mugs from Sunset Hill Stoneware. These are amazing. My website is still under construction. If you do want to purchase one of these, they're $35 each. That's with shipping included. Go ahead and email me if you'd like one, and I'll send you an invoice through PayPal. So, we have been growing a lot of mushrooms lately. I started to grow mushrooms in December and I fell in love. So I decided that I wanted to grow a lot of them. So I ordered a bunch of mushroom blocks. Now I've been getting them growing in my mushroom tent over here and been freeze drying them for long-term storage. Eventually I will experiment into canning some mushrooms because I don't mind the texture of canned mushrooms, and I like how easy it is to add canned mushrooms into pasta dishes and on top of pizza and stuff. These are a little less easy to add to things like pizza, but super easy to add to pasta. This is actually a pink oyster mushroom right here, and this purple one is called a wood bluet. That is one that randomly came up in my garden this year. I've never seen it before. Really grateful to have it. So the way that I've been storing these mushrooms, because I know that I'm going to be using them within the next year, is inside these clear glass jars. We are going to vacuum seal it, and this just, it looks pretty and it makes me happy. They are pretty delicate when they're super duper dry like this, so I'm trying to be careful. This tray here has some of the wood bluets on this end, but these are the chestnut mushrooms down here. These are the ones that I'm growing in that tent over there. If I wanted to add these to pizzas, I could. It's just not as easy as opening up a can, draining out the liquid, and putting them on a pizza. What I'll have to do is set the mushrooms aside that I'd like to put on the pizza and add a little bit of water to them and allow them to rehydrate for a few minutes before I put them on the pizza. So it's not bad. And one of the reasons that I really like this preservation method, the freeze drying, is because it's basically all hands off. I just have to load it and press a button and I can move on to other things, which is really important to me this time of year. It's very, very busy. Also, with freeze drying as opposed to canning, most of the nutrition is locked into these mushrooms right now. In the canning process, a lot of the nutrition is lost, but I do really like canning as a food preservation method. It's probably honestly my #1 favorite food preservation method. I like pretty jars on the shelf, and I actually like the texture of a lot of canned foods. A lot of people don't, but I do. Like canned green beans, I really like them. I grew up on those things. So I have this food saver suction thingy vacuum sealer, and I have these little attachments that make it so that we could use the suction power of this machine to seal jars. I am going to drop a desiccant pack in there. This is a food grade desiccant pack, and I do this just in case there's a little bit of residual moisture maybe in the air, because it is, you know, the humid part of the year, and it's going to help not let that food absorb the moisture. It's going to go right into that desiccant pack. So we're going to press a vacuum seal. Go. All sealed up. Eating that mushroom off of the counter reminded me that my brother-in-law gave us some mushrooms. They were, I don't know if they were freeze-dried or what, but they were kind of like potato chips, but they were mushrooms. He got them at Sam's Club, and they were so darn good. I need to recreate that. Because yeah, that was very reminiscent of popcorn right there. But with a mushroomy flavor, of course. Are you guys wondering why I locked you up? Don't worry, it's a good reason. So one of the more major projects that I want to tackle today involves these two boys. So I have Havoc and Mochi in this pen. Mochi is our resident wether. He keeps our bucks company when they don't have their ladies with them. And we're not using Havoc for fall breeding, so Mochi's keeping him company. I guess what I mean is we're not using Havoc for our spring breeding for fall kids. So he does not have a girlfriend right now. Havoc is kind of a pain in the booty. He's hard to move. He's hard to catch, hard to handle. So Havoc kind of lives over here full time. I have moved him around in the past. I think I'm kind of overdoing that. So I have this electric netting that I like to use to extend his access to greenery. And you can tell down here, they have eaten this down quite a bit. This particular fence has been in this spot for quite a while. You can see how long the grass is over here. I mean, it's going to seed. And for some reason, they really like to eat out here where the grass is really low. Over here on this side, they actually have quite a few patches of nice, lush, long stuff, like right here. And they don't touch it much. I don't know why. That would be healthier for you, you know. Since the grass is ultra long on that side, I'd have to pull out the mower and mow a path for my electric netting. We just had a lot of rain, 5.5 inches of rain to be exact. So the ground, even through the grass, is really squishy and stuff, so I don't think I'm gonna do that. This side of the electric netting though, this is a lot lower, and so I think we're actually gonna move them out here. What I'm gonna do is actually take this netting and attach it to our pond pasture where our girls are, way out there, and so they'll have all of this untouched ground to forage on. And I think they're gonna love it. So I'm gonna get to doing. My netting is kind of close to my bees, so I'm gonna put my veil on. You're ready to go adventure, aren't you? Yes. So is this setup here a little bit janky? Probably. When we just had that big rainstorm, the wind that came along with all of that rain did blow down some of this electric netting. I went to go shut the netting off in order to fix it after the rain and realized that the netting was off. I had shut it off to come in here and feed them grain, you know, a few days prior, and apparently never turned it back on. So the fence hadn't been on for a few days. They stayed in. Fence blew down. They stayed in. I don't think they're going to be testing this that much. I'm actually going to shut this off and go in there and see if we can get Mochi to venture out. Come this way. Good luck. There you go. He's like, hold on, where's the fence? Havoc is peeking this way, so we're gonna walk this way so he will come out. He doesn't trust me for whatever reason. Havoc did break his leg before he was a year old, and I changed the bandages and dressings myself after the first couple of weeks, and so he doesn't trust me very much because he equates me to pain, which is sad. So there's a couple different connections now that our intact buck Havoc has with the girl pen. There's this fence here that's like the alleyway out to the big pasture, and then there's this big pond pasture. I have heard tales of goats being able to breed through fences. I do not know the situations that came about. I don't know the structure of the fences. I don't know the types and breeds of goats. Honestly, it's hard for me to think about how desperate a goat must be to make that happen, but I guess it could happen. All I know is that one of my good friends does keep her goat, her buck pen, right next to the doe pen. They share a fence. It's never been an issue, so we're gonna try it. There's Havoc. And the ladies have caught on because they heard my voice, so they're coming out. He doesn't seem to care. Look at that. A whole bunch of ladies right there. I know that some of my mini La Manchas were jumping all over each other earlier like someone is in heat, so. But I don't know, he doesn't seem to be able to catch a whiff or care or something. It's a good thing that he's not ultra eager. One of these days, I wouldn't mind it if I could like put electric netting around the greenhouse and fence off certain things like certain little trees and whatnot and my bees and let the bucks really roam back here. But for now, this works. It's quite a bit of forage for these two little Nigies. I don't know if you can see the electric netting. It's right there. And they've got all this.
Broccoli?
Mm-hmm.
I love broccoli so much. I would eat a whole basket of broccoli. I love broccoli.
I need to go get one out of the fridge too. It's not quite enough. Aw. Are you guys best friends now? Hi. I didn't bring you any snacks. He's froze a little bit in here. It's touching the back of the fridge. That'll be fine. Oops. It's about that time of day where I need to think about making dinner, and I'm gonna be doing a broccoli Alfredo pasta. It's a one-pot meal. I love those for summertime because summertime is really busy. I'm sensing a theme for today and not wanting to use a whole ton of dishes, but 'tis the season. I'm gonna go ahead and cook dinner off camera, but I will leave a link to the recipe that I'm making tonight in the description box below. I'll see you guys again soon.